Harold stood barefoot in his small garden, watering tomatoes, when the roar of engines broke the morning silence. A private jet, low, slow, impossible, flew over his cottage and circled back. 10 minutes later, his landline rang. A calm voice said, "Stay where you are. He's coming." 45 years earlier, Harold had given a starving boy half a sandwich and a warm blanket during a flood relief camp. That boy had said nothing, just stared at him with hollow eyes, nodded once, and disappeared into the crowd. Harold never saw him again, until now. Hi everyone, welcome to Legacy Tales. Let's begin. Harold lived in the quiet village of Whitestone Hollow. No traffic, no internet, just books, bees, and the sound of birds that didn't know the world had changed. He is 71 now, widowed, no kids. The only visitor he ever got was the mailman, and even he just waved from the gate. Life had moved on without him, and Harold was fine with that. Until the jet came, the garden still smelled of soil, the sky still looked blue, but everything else suddenly felt paused. The knock came at 10:11 a.m. Not police, not reporters. A man in his late 40s, dressed in sharp gray, stepped forward, eyes calm, face unreadable. He looked Harold straight in the eye. "I was the boy in that tent 45 years ago." Harold narrowed his eyes. "I gave out food to a lot of people. I don't remember. I had no parents, no name, nothing. You were the only one who didn't treat me like trash." There was silence. Wind. A bird cawed in the distance. Then the man slowly opened a folder. Inside was a photo, yellowed, torn, of Harold, 45 years younger, handing a thin boy half a sandwich. Harold stared at it. "I kept this," the man said. "The only proof I had that someone once cared." Harold's throat dried. He remembered the day now, the flood, the screaming, the muddy tents. He remembered running out of supplies and tearing his own sandwich in half because he couldn't watch one more child go to sleep hungry. But he had no idea it meant anything. No one ever thanked him. No one ever came back. Until now. The man stepped aside. Behind him, 3 sleek black cars waited. One had the door open. A woman in a navy suit stood near it, smiling respectfully. "You're not in trouble," the man said. "Quite the opposite." Harold chuckled nervously. "I'm an old man with tomatoes and bees. What could someone like you want with me?" The man smiled. "I want to give you back something you didn't even know you gave me. A future." They drove. Through villages, past highways, and straight to a private airfield Harold didn't even know existed. The same jet that had circled over his cottage was waiting. Inside, walnut paneling, velvet seats, a tray of Harold's favorite biscuits. No one had asked, but somehow they knew. They flew for an hour. Not once did the man explain where they were going. When they landed, Harold stepped out and stared in disbelief. He knew this land, recognized the bent tree by the hill, the crooked bridge over the dry canal. "This is the old refugee camp," Harold whispered. The man nodded. "We bought the entire land. It was abandoned for years, but now..." He turned toward the newly built structure behind them. A long, modern building made of glass and stone. Dozens of children ran across the field in school uniforms. Some laughed, others painted murals on the wall. A sign hung above the gate. The Harold Finch Academy, built on kindness. Harold's knees weakened. The man caught him gently. "I never had a name, so I took yours. I'm David Finch now, and I run the largest educational trust in South Asia. Every one of these kids, they're just like I was, forgotten, until someone sees them." Harold looked at the school, the gardens, the children, and finally at the man he once gave a sandwich to. I don't know what to say. David smiled. You don't have to. You already did. 45 years ago. The ceremony wasn't televised. There were no journalists, no influencers, just the children, teachers, and a man who'd never asked to be remembered. As Harold walked through the halls of the new school, something strange happened. Children began whispering, pointing, not rudely, but with wonder. One small girl even reached out and touched his hand. "You're the sandwich man," she said softly, as if speaking of a legend. Harold laughed, his eyes misting. "I suppose I am." They led him to a quiet room near the back of the school. Inside, it looked like a tiny library, except every shelf held objects instead of books. A cracked toy truck, a stitched blanket, a broken pencil wrapped in gold thread. Above it all, a simple wooden plaque. Small things that saved lives. David stood beside him. These are objects children brought with them. Most of them don't remember their parents, but they remember the moment someone was kind. He turned to Harold. "We built this room for them, but the idea came from you."
Then he handed Harold a small box. Inside was half a sandwich, plastic, preserved, fake lettuce and all. Harold laughed and cried at the same time. But that wasn't the end. 3 months later, back at his cottage, Harold received a letter. Handwritten, no stamp, just placed under his door. "I was one of the kids in the academy. I'm in university now, studying to be a doctor. I just wanted you to know I survived because you cared for someone who wasn't me, and he turned it into hope for the rest of us." Taped to the letter was a dried tomato leaf. Harold held it gently, his hand trembling. That summer, he started planting twice as many tomatoes. Not to sell, not to eat, but just in case another hungry soul ever wandered into his garden again. Because kindness never retires, and legacies don't need headlines.